And so Darian starts making fun of her for like not being able to keep her shoes on and for being a meatball head and all the usual stuff. And then he says something like, why can't you be more serious like other girls? Which is something nobody has ever said in the entire serious like other girls is just a very weird phrase. And she goes, well, I'll have you know that there's a boy who likes me because I'm not serious and I'm just for being myself or something. And Darian's like, well, he can't be too bright if he's in love with you. And she's like, what? And she's like, she sort of starts tearing up and she's like, you could talk bad about me, but you shouldn't talk bad about him. And then she starts crying. And the best part is that like, he's like, and they cut to like everybody on the street staring at this grown man who has just made a little girl cry. And he looks wildly uncomfortable. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. Here's your shoe. And he takes off and it was really cute.
I loved that moment.
I
love the cranes on your wall. Did you make every
Thank you.
single
I
one of
did
those?
make them.
Wow.
I've been making cranes recently. So actually not recently. I was going to try and do 1,000 and I don't think it's going to happen. All right. Class.
Was this your quarantine project?
Yeah,
Okay.
Basically.
Welcome to Sailor Moon Therapy Hour. I am your host, Audrey.
I'm Alison.
Also
and
a host.
We are not therapists. We just watch anime.
Exactly. So the concept... Why am I explaining the concept? It's probably been long enough. But we have been watching Sailor Moon, both the original dub that we grew up with in the late 90s, early 2000s, as well as the original subtitled version, so that we can see what Big Deke, the dubber, got wrong. And
folks, we're going to need a lot of therapy this week. As you might have realized,
yes,
we're both in mourning.
Yes.
Because we've lost
sad.
A friend. Well, friend might be a strong word. We've lost...
A frenemy?
Yes. We've lost our favorite janitor, Jadeite. And today, this is the episode. I know. This is the episode. He's going to sleep forever. And I'm sad about it. So I got
Me too.
a veil. And I don't know how well this... What I was saying before the podcast, did you realize that veils are not designed to work with headphones?
They are not, indeed.
Turns out
maybe
not.
they should be.
So
though.
I may mess around with this at some point, but I'm gonna see what's happening.
I can definitely foresee a use in pandemic times for veils attached to headphones for Zoom funerals.
Ooh, there you go.
Or Zoom weddings.
And, like, you know how they have the headphones with like the cat ears?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they sell headphones with funeral veils?
I mean, this is
Bridal veils. Bridal headphones. Zoom wedding. Yes.
If anybody wants to jump on this business opportunity, all you need to do is recruit your downline.
I honestly thought you were proposing. If anyone wants to get Zoom married.
Will you Zoom marry me, audience? So we are, as Alison mentioned, we are wearing mourning. I am currently wearing, so this is an audio medium. I'm wearing a black dress, a black necklace, and some really dark lipstick.
That seems appropriate for a funeral. I actually did look up appropriate makeup for a funeral, and they were sort of like normal makeup, and I was like, okay, gotcha.
Great.
But then I did not wear normal makeup because I don't normally wear makeup. So yeah, I've got my beautiful black veil, which I got for $5 on one of the online companies that we're not going to name. And I think it's made out of the same stuff you wrap, like the plastic mesh you wrap chickens in. So
Yeah,
like raw chickens. So yeah. I am a rotisserie chicken for this episode. And actually,
when you first said,
is that
ooh,
better
I like
or worse?
that. Now you can see.
Okay,
We've
now
gotten
I can
the point
see.
across.
Okay.
You've got like a nice 1800s curl going with your hair. Like, oh no, my husband has died. And
I show up in like a fur robe,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, what a tragedy. do I get to inherit from Jadeite?
Let's see. What do you get to inherit from Jadeite? A lot of moon dust.
Yeah, a lot. Well, he collected a lot of energy. Can I have that energy? Because I could use some.
Well, you know what? It's for our great ruler, so I think it's been spoken for.
So this episode was called Fight to the Finish in the American dub. And do you happen to know what it was called in Japanese? Had a longer name.
I just had it up. Where was it?
I'll put you on the spot.
Is it this one?
And while we're waiting for that, it was the episode where Jadeite, our favorite bad guy, there's only like 2 bad guys who haven't died. Our favorite still alive bad guy is no longer alive. So he's really joining with the trend.
Girls Unite, the end of Jadeite, which
rhymes
in English, which is nice. So we start this episode with, and I am going somewhere with this.
Okay.
So this whole time I thought he was going to die, because I don't think that we ever
too.
see him again.
And then,
but they're just putting him into sleep.
Yeah, and it was such a weird intro, and we'll get to it in a minute, that I actually thought they might have changed it for the dub until we got to the end of the episode when, spoilers, they like freeze him in a crystal or possibly ice. And I was like, well, that's convenient because that means he can come back. So I was very relieved. And we have spoiled it for you. But I knew you guys would all be like too stressed to listen to the episode if you didn't know that he's dead in a very non-dead sense.
Exactly. In the sense that, in the comic book sense of,
in a much less final sense than all of the bad guys who have dissolved into dust so far.
Yes, exactly. But you know what? That's privilege for you.
You know what? I think that makes Sailor Moon more of a murderer than Queen Beryl.
I think you're right. A very lovable and cute murderer.
I mean, yeah. So I watched the dub. Traditionally, I will do a quick summary and then we'll go back through it. Mm-hmm. So the very quick summary is that Jadeite is told he's got his last chance. He needs to actually get rid of the Sailor Scouts or he's going to sleep forever, which sounds like a euphemism, but it appears to be literal. And he's very stressed about this. He does like a dramatic call out from like a glowing sky face and tells them they have to come duel him. And they do show up to duel him. It's for some reason involves airplanes, and not like they fly on an airplane. He literally like drives airplanes at them with his mind. And they run around for a while, and then they're like, actually, you know what? This is dumb. And so they drive airplanes at him and kill him. Well, no, he screams. He gets beat up by the airplane, and then Queen Beryl puts him to sleep forever.
Yep.
It's a weird episode. I was super into it. There's some weird Darien and Tuxedo Mask stuff in there. We think some various people are dead. There's some novel powers that appear. There's some crazy lines and even crazier line deliveries in the dub. It's great. I was super here for it, except for the part where Jadeite died, because you know what? I just feel attached to him.
You know, yes. And his lovely voice and his strategy of always becoming a janitor, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, again, we get to the end of this, and I was like, you know, his heart, when you see how many powers he pulls out this episode, you're like, it's very clear his heart has never been in it. And
ooh, that's a good point.
And he just wants to go be a janitor, I think. And Beryl won't let him. And then he gets chased around by airplanes and dies. It's really sad. And at some point he literally says, why is this happening? What's happening? How are you doing this? Or something like that. And it was very strange.
That's so
and I was
sad.
like, oh, hun.
Oh man, so many things to comment on.
The episode, first of all, we start with like a little like flash forward voiceover with Sailor Moon. And I wanted to just point out that when they were sort of summarizing what was going to happen in the episode, they said that Jadeite was facing off with the 3 Sailor Scouts. And then they said, will Jadeite finally meet his match against Tuxedo Mask? And it was like,
what?
A burn on the Sailor Scouts, I guess.
Wow.
To be fair, they've never been able to beat him so far. I mean, he's never been able to beat them. But I was like, okay. But I'm glad. I was like, oh, I guess a guy's going to show up and solve this. That's not really what happened, but I was bewildered.
I'm very interested to hear how they translated some of the stuff about the guy situation.
Yeah. And I will also just say, like, as I mentioned, crazy line deliveries. If we want to pull some of these voice clips, if not, you guys at home, you pull up the stuff because it's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we start with Jadeite facing down Queen Beryl. They've got like spotlights on him, like he's in an interrogation scene. Mm-hmm. And Okay, so I wondered if this was translated weird because Queen Beryl starts with, I mean, this is supposed to be her threatening him, right? She starts with, "We are pleased with all of the energy you have been gathering for us, Jadeite, but you have also made several mistakes, and this is your last chance." And I was like, what?
It sounds like just the delivery was wrong, because in the Japanese, it was definitely like, yes, you've gathered a ton of power for our great ruler, but you've also, you done goofed.
Yeah, and I think like if you just worded it slightly different, like it doesn't matter all the energy you gathered, like I don't know, but like they started with "we are pleased," which is just not really how you start a
and that's not
threat.
That's not what they said either. But she also in the Japanese, she calls the threat that she's giving him is the sentence of eternal sleep.
They translated that. They said, "If you fail, your punishment is eternal sleep." And then everyone in the audience goes, "No, oh my gosh, eternal sleep, oh." Yeah. And then as she's explaining it, she goes on to say, which as you know, leads to, if you will experience the most profound darkness forever. And she drags it out just like that. It was really good.
Oh, that is a good sound clip that I'm going to have to pull.
Yeah. And so then we cut immediately to Sailor Moon, and she's stargazing, and in the stars, she's seeing first a constellation of Andrew, the video store boy she has a crush on, and then a constellation of Tuxedo Mask, the, superhero she has a crush on. And then she's like, "Oh, if only they were this," she's like, "Isn't it amazing I love two people, but if only they were the same person." And she imagines like Andrew in a Tuxedo Mask costume, and he's clearly blonde, so he's clearly not Andrew. And as she's looking at this thing, she starts hearing evil laughter. And there's like a long pause and you're like, is the constellation laughing evilly at her? It was weird. And then she goes, "Oh." And then Jadeite appears in the sky. And real fast, because I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
The transition was so weird because it very strongly implied that Jadeite is secretly Andrew.
Oh, weird.
Because they show a blonde dude. Could he be Tuxedo Mask? Evil laughter, blonde evil dude appears. And I was like, I've watched this show, and for a minute I literally go, "Oh my God, is Andrew Jadeite?" And then I was like,
that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. And it's just janitor-y enough.
It's perfect. It's exactly the job he would like. Maybe Andrew is Jadeite, like, you know how everyone's like all time traveled back in, he's like the reborn Jadeite, time traveled back in time to hang out with Sailor Moon because he likes her and wants to be a game store owner. I don't know.
Yeah. And
I could buy it. I think Andrew is future Jadeite.
They definitely cut a bunch of stuff out.
Okay.
So did they cut the stuff with where she's naming other like real constellations first?
Yes.
Why? Okay.
I don't know.
That's so weird. So it's so cute. It's like such an adorable moment. I literally had to pause it to like write it down. But she's just kind of looking at the stars and then calling it, like she knows all of these different constellations. And so like you see kind of the drawings of them on top of the stars. And it's,
I'm so embarrassed. I just had a moment where I'm like, do they have the same constellations in Japan?
I think they do, because she mentioned a couple like Taurus and like the first one I didn't get. I think it was like a swan or something. So
Cygnus?
Oh yeah. Is that a constellation?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then she mentions like Taurus, and I think like one other one. And the only thing I can think of why they would cut that is maybe because it's zodiac signs.
Yeah, horoscopy. That's weird.
Satanism.
Yeah, it's much better to just picture Tuxedo Mask in the stars.
Yeah. So then she moves on. So it lands much stronger, where she's like this and this and this, and then Toki, and then and so it's so cute. Do you think
that we could create a Tuxedo Mask constellation? And I mean, okay, I don't mean that we like place stars in the sky. That would be a little too ambitious. But could we like look at a sky and figure out where the Tuxedo Mask constellation is? Because I would love to be walking late at night and just go, "Oh, Tuxedo Mask."
Well, I wonder what it looked like. Like maybe we can take a screen grab and then see if we can map that onto some stars. So that's then the other thing,
future project.
Yeah. Or audience project.
There we go. Yeah. Audience, please help us find the Tuxedo Mask constellation.
Yes. Where is it in the sky? So the other thing that it sounds like they cut out is she has a whole conversation with Luna, and there's a really good Luna burn. So she's dreaming, about Andrew and Tuxedo Mask is the same person. And Luna says, your crushes are like bubbles in the ocean. They only last a moment.
Okay, that's cute. But also, has she ever changed her crush?
No, that was the other thing. I was like, it's not even correct.
I think Luna did say something, but it wasn't notable enough that I wrote it down.
Now we're at message in the sky.
Yeah, so Jadeite has manifested in the sky as a giant face that's talking to her. And we actually, the whole time we were discussing, me and my brothers who watch with me, we're discussing, like, is she the only one who sees this?
I thought the exact same thing.
We do find out later that no, everyone is seeing this, which
everyone saw it.
So much more amazing. So he shows up and he's like, I challenge you guys to a duel. First of all, like, where did he get this power from? Amazing. But he's like,
know.
Sailor Senshi, you have to come duel me. And if you don't, I will destroy the town. And he, like, the whole town looks like it's on fire. Mm-hmm. And Luna goes, stop, you monster. And then the town's normal again. And he goes, it was just an illusion. And I'm like, we knew that. Like, did Luna not know that? Like,
yeah, but then he threatens to do it for real.
Oh, yeah. And then he says, but I'll do it for real. And I'm like, but, like, if you could have done this for real this whole time, like, no, you couldn't. Like, you would have just done it. Like, I don't know. I don't know why they
feel like he could have, though. Because he reveals a lot of different powers in this episode that he's been holding back. Which honestly
suggests to me that he's been very nice about this whole energy acquisition thing, because he's killed nobody ever.
Right. It's so strange to me that, like, he's just been holding back, especially once his life was threatened,
Yeah, I think he's just a nice dude. Like,
he's a nice guy, TM.
He's a nice dude that kidnaps people to steal their energy and then leave them sleeping on the moonscape. I don't know. So then we cut to Ray and Ami and Sailor Moon all talking about, I'm really confusing my names here, but talking about, oh God, what are we going to do? And they're like, Ray's like, well, obviously we have to answer to Jadeite's evil challenge. And Ami's like, but we do not have a plan. We need the delivery through the whole section was very strange and weird. And I guess that they decide they got to do something. And then we cut to the radio saying, it's Sailor Moon's family in the morning or whatever, listening to the radio. And it's like, we're still not sure about that mysterious image in the sky, but officials say it was probably some sort of hoax. And I'm like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It was a hoax?
I think they mistranslated that because in the Japanese, it's a prank.
That makes so much more sense. Yeah. Hoax is not a descriptor for what, like, an actual glowing image appearing in the sky. Like, we know it happens, and we know it's not an actual, like, hoax implies, like, no, it wasn't really a glowing head in the sky. It was a fake glowing head in the sky, which we knew.
Right.
It was strange. But then they're like, but the military's gonna have, like, jets, evil planes they're like, something about the airport. I don't really remember what they said, but they're like, we're gonna have a police force at the airport to, like, guard the skies in case the bad guys show up. We're gonna take it seriously. And I don't really understand how they connected the police and the airport and the skies, but that was the idea. And then, of course, all the kids are like, awesome, we want to go to the airport. Yeah. Although, again, I don't know if they translated some stuff weird, because literally what happens is before anybody reacts, Sailor Moon and Luna are going, we can't let the kids go to the airport. And I was like, no one wants to go to the airport. Where did this come from? They have a whole discussion about how they can't let people go to the airport. And then they cut to Molly, Melvin, and one of the friends talking about, ooh, what is it? Is it aliens? We should go to the airport. That sounds super fun. And it was like, those scenes were in the wrong order.
Well, yeah, I think that must have been a mistake, because it makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, what? Why would anyone go to the airport? And then, like, so here's me going, why would anyone go to the airport? 10 seconds later, it sounds super fun to go to the airport. And you're like, what? Why does
Wait, I think I know what it was, because they're listening to the radio, or like they're hearing that the police are going to be going to the airport. And in the sub, they're talking about, we can't let those policemen go to the airport.
Oh, that would make more sense. It would be
dangerous for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the kids want to go. Sense. And then she's like, no.
Yeah. So she jumps in. First, Miss Haruna says, you guys can't go to the airport, the teacher. And then Serena's like, yeah, you guys have to, you can't go either. And they're all surprised. And she goes, you guys need to stay home and study. And everyone freaks out. And Miss Haruna's like, are you feeling okay? Do you have a fever? Do you need to go home? And she's like, I can be serious. And it was very cute. It was very cute.
Yeah, I loved that scene. I literally wrote down, "Come through, Miss Haruna," because she's like, "You are not going to the airport. It is past your bedtime."
Yep. And it was actually very cute to see Serena like pulling out the same stops. And apparently it worked because none of them went to the airport. And I was actually shocked because that's not the sort of friend request that I expect your friends to listen to.
You know, I wonder if like they were all because they were so shocked that
they were so shook that they were like, "No, we can't do it. Serena is having some sort of mental break. We need to stay home and pray for her."
Exactly. Put on your true love waits ring and pray.
So they have her whole like, "Oh, it's just unlike you to be so serious," and she's like, "I can be serious," and then they run with this for a while. And so we cut to her talking to Andrew, the video game story, and he's laughing at this story. And he's like, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "You're not serious." And she's like, "No." And then he's like, "It's okay." He says, "I like you a lot better when you're being natural," which I guess was a compliment in kind of a backhanded way.
It wasn't much better in the Japanese. Yeah. I wrote it down because next to it I wrote, "Is this a burn?" He says, "Part of your charm is your unique point of view." Yeah.
And he is pretty consistently like supportive of her being herself, but it was weird.
Yeah.
Partly because he had literally just laughed at her, and also she had literally just demonstrated that she can be serious. So it's a little weird to be like, no, you really can't, but that's charming. Well, you're like, hang on, but she just did.
Yeah. So he doesn't say that she can't be serious. He's just like, oh no, wait, he does kind of, because he's like, "What, you study?"
Yeah, it was a little odd. So she's so happy about this compliment. She goes dancing down the street. "He likes me. He says I'm awesome. He's in love with me." And her shoe flies off as she's doing like happy kicks. And it hits Darian in the face, of course. And so Darian starts making fun of her for like not being able to keep her shoes on and for being a meatball head and all the usual stuff. And then he says something like, "Why can't you be more serious like other girls?" Which is something nobody has ever said in the entire "serious like other girls" is just a very weird phrase. And she goes, "Well, I'll have you know that there's a boy who likes me because I'm not serious and I'm just for being myself or something." And Darian's like, "Well, he can't be too bright if he's in love with you." And she's like, "What?" And she sort of starts tearing up and she's like, "You could talk bad about me, but you shouldn't talk bad about him." And then she starts crying. And the best part is that like, he's like, and they cut to like everybody on the street staring at this grown man who has just made a little girl cry. And he looks wildly uncomfortable. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. Here's your shoe." And he takes off, and it was really cute.
I loved that moment.
It was really good.
It's the first and only time so far that we have seen him uncomfortable in a situation.
Yeah, and we kind of
see him
flipped
lose.
the power differential. Her own being herself worked in her favor very much. Right. And he's like, actually, I'm the jerk here.
So I've got to add something that it's clear that they cut out, potentially. Okay. So instead of saying he can't be too bright, he does say he must be a loser. And she's like, "Don't, he's not a loser, blah, blah." She actually tells him who it is. And at first I thought
she did not in this one.
I thought he was going to know him and like say something, but he didn't. And he goes, "Well, like attracts like. Even a cracked pot has a cover. There's rubbish for every trash heap, and every bunhead has her loser."
Holy shit. That was a really...
It was like 3 burns.
Yeah, and they're burns in a very, like, I don't know how to say it, but those felt not so much mean as, like, a very mean philosophy. I don't know, that you could just, like, reel all of that out. It wasn't, like, a clever burn. It was, like, this is just how I feel about the world.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe, like, these are sayings in Japanese.
I think they must
so just,
be.
Like, rolling
so
them
they may
off.
not sound quite so... Yeah, because, like, I was like, wow, you just had, like, a whole philosophy there that I wasn't expecting. But no, I suspect they're... And I've heard, like... I feel like I've heard at least one of those.
Yeah. And
right.
my own Jewish grandmother was quoted as saying, like, "There's somebody for everyone."
I honestly, it's
like
came very close to saying, like, "Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?" Which is not what he said, but it has that vibe, where you're like,
So I think the vibe that I was kind of getting off of that, and maybe this is just headcanon, but I was like, maybe he's just really jealous. And that's why, because like, why else would he react so strongly?
Oh, yeah. It's the type of thing the show would do, is that he and I think if you delivered it right, it could be more clear that he's reacting to her being like, there's a boy that likes me, and he gets all like, and then he's a little too, and it's clear that they think he's been a little too mean because they have like everybody on the street stare at him and he himself gets uncomfortable and leaves.
Yeah.
Here's my other theory. So Tuxedo Mask is going to show up this episode, and he's going to be smilier and chattier than we've ever seen him before. And I'm like, so does he just feel really bad and he shows up and he's like going like out of his way to be like friendly and supportive? And I love the idea that Darian can only do that in his Tuxedo Mask persona.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like drag, right? Where you feel
yeah, like he's just like, okay, now I can be my sensitive, vulnerable inner self.
Yes.
So then we cut to Jadeite, who's set up at the airport or the subway. It's really unclear. And there's police all around him. And he's like, we can dispense with the police presence. And he like snaps his fingers, and all of the police like drop sideways into like unconsciousness, like as if they were planking.
Yes. And this is what I wanted to comment on, because they all fell to the ground, but magically not a single head hit the ground. So it was a gentle topple.
Well, because they fell like, very sideways. Very gentle topple. And again, Jadeite's a very nice dude. He's very careful with his humans. Then Sailor Moon, Ray, and Ami, who aren't in sailor costume yet, are like, oh no, we missed the last train. And what do we do? Should we get a cab? Can we afford a cab? Yeah. And then a train pulls up, or like a monorail. It pulls up, and they're like, oh, and they're like, Jadeite sent us a private train. And I was like, there's a lot of like deduction happening here. Like, he knows where they are. He knows who they are.
That was
they
so weird.
know that he sent the train. It's very strange.
Well, they
and
know
Luna goes,
that, like,
it's a trap. And I was like, no kidding, Luna.
And then Ray, I love that Ray just gets right on. He's like, let's go.
So they jump on the train, and they have a little discussion on the train about this is definitely a trap. Yeah, And then
they talked?
Yeah, there was a very short discussion on the train. I think it was just Luna going like, it's a trap again. It was very weird. And then I guess they arrive, which I was really shocked. I thought he was going to ambush them on the train. But once again, he's a nice dude. He literally just takes them where he wants them to be. The train was fine. It was where they were going anyway. And so they get off at the airport, and there's police all around. And they're like, I was like, the policemen are awake. This is a bad sign.
Yeah.
And the policemen all attack them. And Ray like kicks immediately, because Ray is like the most competent member of the team.
Yeah.
They all run off. And what I really liked was Ami was the first person to be like, she just, in the tone of like someone who's had just like enough of a day, goes, this is nuts, and transforms.
Wow, it was so different. So in the sub, they start getting attacked. And Serena goes, what's wrong with our government hiring people like this?
Okay, that's really good. I think Serena said something like, police people are supposed to protect us. And I was like, it's a learning day for Serena.
Yeah. And so they run off, and then, wow, they must have cut some kind of conversation, because I'm pretty sure that Sailor Moon and Sailor Mars started arguing or something, and then Sailor Mercury is like, get out of
that happens in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Ami transforms, Mars transforms, they cut to Serena who goes, I guess I should do something, and then transforms, and I was like, okay, glad we had that beat. It was in character, it was just weird. I thought they were going to do a little more with it.
Yeah, she said, I'm the last one.
Okay, that's cuter, I think. Yeah. Because like this one was like, what? But I like, I'm the last one is actually funny.
Yeah.
Also, this is the point where I wrote down, like, does Sailor Moon's voice sound different? And I went on a whole, like, hunt and discovered that it's not different, which, although funny, it is going to change in episode, like, 12 or something. So it's going to be different very soon, but it's not different yet.
Right. Are we not on episode 12 yet?
It's episode 10 in the English, because they skipped 2.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so in, like, a couple episodes, it's going to change, and then change back for 2 episodes, and then change again. It's weird, but I will say that maybe the reason this Sailor Moon sounds so unfamiliar to me is that she's only there for the first 12-ish episodes, and that I'm more used to the one that's there for the next 70 episodes.
Is that the one where her voice gets really annoying? Like, woo!
I think it might be. Because there's the classic one is the one who goes, ah, like that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe I'm just remembering her unkindly. Anyway, Ami has transformed, so she uses her glasses to analyze the policemen and says they're not real. They're made out of mud, which was,
mud?
I suspect, not what she actually said.
I think it was clay.
See, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
It's like a translation error because clay is what you would make like a, like a
golem.
Mud is just a weird statement.
Yeah. Well, they're golems, and that
exactly. You just don't. It was a weird, it was weird. So she's like, they're made out of mud, and Mars is like, oh, cool. And so she lights everybody on fire, and it was like, yeah, you know how you burn mud, but it works.
You know what's interesting? Like, even though it was clay, wouldn't her burning it have just turned them into really hard ceramic?
Yeah, they would have been really cool ceramic figurines. And
and then they could just kick them.
Sold them in his store.
Yes, he could have.
And then there was a cute moment where Sailor Moon turns to Mars and goes, Mars, you're fantastic. And she's like, thanks. And they had a little cute bonding moment, which they're going to ruin in 2 seconds.
Yeah, wait 1 second. So in the Japanese.
But it was cute.
It was so cute. In the Japanese, she goes, Sailor Mars, you're so awesome. And she goes, well, yeah.
It was cute. It was really cute. Yeah. I don't remember how we got to this, but maybe Jadeite's like, I'm going to kill you or whatever. Yeah. Because Sailor Moon goes on to think about no way, someone as young and pretty as me has to live a really long time. And then for some reason, Mars decides to start fighting with her about who's prettier. And Mars is like, yeah, in what way are you pretty? And she's like, and she goes, I'm clearly the prettiest. And Mars is like, in what way? And she's like, my nose is amazing. And I was like, what? And then she and Mars get in a fight over this, which was just a choice decision. Great job, anime writers. Yep. And then Ami does the thing again where she's like, guys, no, we're working together. And I'm like, glad they're never going to learn that lesson.
It felt a lot cuter in the Japanese. It was kind of like Sailor Mars going, well, show me where your beauty is.
I did like the right touching her nose. It's it felt more was weird cute. Enough that again I thought it was translated strangely.
Yeah, I mean it was still annoying because I was like, come on guys, but that's exactly what Sailor Mercury did. She really takes charge in that moment.
I like the setup of I'm too young and pretty to die. That's funny and cute. Did she say I'm clearly the prettiest of the three of us?
No,
because that was where it got mean. I was like, just out of the blue, Sailor Moon's like, I'm clearly much prettier than you two. And I was like, that doesn't sound like something she would say.
She didn't say that.
Her just saying, I'm pretty, and Mars being like, where are you pretty? And her being like, this nose, that's cute. Yeah. But her being like, I'm prettier than you two was weird.
No, she definitely didn't say that. That's really out of character for her.
Exactly. So again, it's these lazy translations.
Yeah.
So they get in a fight again. Mercury's like, we're working together. Jadeite manifests in the sky again and uses lightning powers to zap 2 planes and I guess take control of them. Although the imagery was confusing enough that it kind of looked like that Jadeite was just had 2 tiny planes that he was controlling.
That'd be so cute.
That'd be really cute.
Did they have in the dub that he knows now what their real identities are because he saw them transform?
Okay, here's the thing. He says at the end, but I know their real identities, but I don't feel like they ever called it out during the episode. And I'm like, when did he figure it out? Obviously he sent a train for them and they got on the train. At that point, he must have known who they were, or the fact that they showed up out of transformation should have given it away. But I don't think they really made clear when he figured it out.
So it's right here at this moment before he attacks them. I can't remember what he says, but he clearly has seen them from his vantage point transform. But then I was really confused because I was like, do you or do you not already know who they really are? Because you sent a train for them.
I was like, it was kind of unclear. And also I feel like they haven't been super careful about the transformation with him in the past. I'd have to go back through the episodes, but he's at the very least seen them in their normal shapes and then seen them transformed, even if he didn't see the actual transformation.
I think this is the first time he's actually seen the transformation.
Yeah. So you know, if nothing else, when 3 girls that he keeps seeing around show up, I feel like he probably had some little like tumblers turning.
Yeah.
So the giant planes, they are not unfortunately tiny, start chasing the Sailor Scouts, which is honestly
So
the best threat I could ever see. As Eric said, there's something about a plane that is actually less scary than a car because it's so high off the ground that you feel like you could go under it pretty easy. And then also, as he said, when there's 2 of them coming at you, that it feels like they'd run into each other before they ran into you.
Yeah.
But they're running away from the planes, and Mars is like, oh, I'm going to zap them. And Luna's like, don't do it, Mars. It'll take 10,000 years of allowance to pay off that plane if you blow it up. And it was like, priorities, Luna.
That is sort of what she says, though. Like, it was so bizarre. Like, she goes... So Sailor Mars is like, oh, it's time for Fire Soul. And Luna goes, no! Don't you know how much an airplane costs?
And I was like, have we ever worried about collateral damage in this series? But suddenly...
No. But then she says, yeah, it'll take like endless lifetimes of allowance to pay for it. And all 3 of the Sailor Scouts are like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and Mars was like, oh my gosh, in that case, I won't do it. And it was really cute.
I know.
Then they're running around, running from the planes like it's a cartoon show. Which I guess it is, so I should take back my complaint. There's a point when Luna is like kind of meaningfully staring down a plane, and I thought she was probably like, my guess is she was seeing something kind of cool, but because she looked kind of like defiant or something, but she's staring down a plane and they just have her translate and she goes, what a disaster. And I was like, what?
I don't know what she would have said.
I don't know what she said, but I suspect it wasn't, what a disaster.
It's just so, like, I just have to comment on the plane thing just because, first of all, so much, like, the whole rest of this episode is them running from planes, basically.
If you had to guess, I'll let you finish your statement.
Okay. So they're running from planes, and then sometimes, like, they'll cut away, and it's from really far away, and you just see these tiny little animations, and this giant plane. And I'm like, why are we still running in straight lines? Like, they can't turn that fast.
And, like, on the one hand, I get that, like, I guess planes are really big. It's machinery. It kind of does up the stakes. But on the other hand, does it? And, like, also thematically, like, if you had to guess how this big, like, it's almost like an end of season showdown. It has that feel. If you had to guess what it would have involved, would you ever have guessed planes? Especially not even planes on the ground. Like, they're not flying planes. It was so weird. But I did realize, I mean, he is named Jadeite. And he uses jets. Like, we've been sleeping on that.
Well, it's not Jetite.
It's Jadeite. It's definitely Jadeite.
Yeah, my expectation was way more. I really expected, because I figured that he had picked that location because of the huge tarmac, to where he would have been able to, like, raise more golems or something, or like mount a larger attack. But no, we're just gonna play with planes.
It's also kind of weird that they were like, we're gonna send planes to deal with this dude, and he's like, actually, you know what, that's a great idea, I'm gonna go grab those planes.
Yeah. So ridiculous.
I mean, that is very Jadeite. He never comes up with his own plans. He uses other people's plans. And to be fair, the military was like, we got a plan for defeating Jadeite. And he's like, I like that plan. I'm taking it. I'm going to use it on the Sailor Scouts.
I don't think they mentioned planes in the Japanese one.
Yeah, they said they were going to have like airplanes in the sky or something. I will say he may not understand how planes work because, like, again, they were on the ground the whole time. Right. I'm not quite sure he was clear on this.
Well, doesn't he pick one of them up? I think at some point he picks one of them up to, like, drop it on somebody.
I don't remember that. I will say the other thing was, like, between the, like, monorail and the planes, like, this was very much a, like, I like things that go vroom vroom episode, and I kind of was feeling it.
I mean, he could have just done way more on the train. Like,
yeah, I mean, once you have the train set up, like, just go with the train. Or, like, just skip to the plane thing, the combination of the two. Although, again, it revealed, like, he has all these powers over, like, machinery. He also seemed very happy during the bus episode. Did you notice that? Like,
it goes
and
vroom,
the cruise
vroom.
ship. Like, I think he just likes things that go vroom, vroom.
If you go into his room back in the Negaverse, it's just got all these little model vroom, vroom things. like tiny planes and little cruise ships. And so like really he's just living his best life.
Yeah. He's just like, this is his deal.
Do you think that subconsciously there's a part of him that remembers or feels connected to the past where he was a good guy, and so now he feels kind of unable to actually harm them and is like subconsciously holding himself back?
I think, yes, absolutely, because he has been such a gentle and loving bad guy in the least gentle way possible. But like, again, like he's like, yeah, I'll kidnap you and I'll drain all your energy. But he like, then I'll just let you sleep on this nice winding staircase, which seems very safe. And then you're fine later. So I don't know. All
right. So now we're getting it. I wrote a lot of quotes down for this back half.
Because, this is where they're going to be run over by the airplanes. But suddenly, Tuxedo Mask stops the airplanes by throwing a rose at Jadeite. It was very unclear.
It was at Jadeite,
And
clutch
so
rose.
Now, clutch rose. Now Tuxedo Mask and Jadeite are having a stand down. And I'm like, oh, is Tuxedo Mask going to be able to beat Jadeite? Because that was the intro. And obviously not, but.
No.
And Tuxedo Mask says, he and Jadeite, and he goes, Tuxedo Mask goes, you used your magic powers only for evil, Jadeite. Big mistake. And I was like, this is a moment where my brain went, hang on. With the tuxedo and the rose, is he supposed to be a magician? Like,
oh my God.
Have I been missing this all along?
I don't remember what he said, but I feel like it.
And is Jadeite also supposed to be a magician? Like, I didn't realize this was a whole thing.
I mean, Tuxedo Mask is definitely dressed up like a magician.
Have we ever seen him do any magic? Is that how he appears in high places all the time? Is that his magic
power?
He
teleports.
No, not
Remember
Jadeite.
We saw him.
Yeah.
Jadeite.
No, Tuxedo Mask, though. I've seen Jadeite do magic. I know Jadeite has magic.
Well, remember we saw Tuxedo Mask teleport into a high window during the clock episode.
So his magic powers are throwing roses, wearing a tuxedo, which I guess is sort of magician-y, and being in high places. Okay. Yeah. Appearing at the right moment.
Yes. Timing is his biggest superpower.
So he and Jadeite start fighting, and I think they must have cut something because it got visually very confusing because they show them like kind of coming together. Then they just cut to a splash in the water. And then everyone's like, no, where is he okay? Like, I guess Jadeite. And so I had to, from context, determine that Jadeite and Tuxedo Mask must be in the water together. And they're all watching the water, and a single rose floats up. And they're like, is he dead? And then Jadeite appears out of the water again. So I'm not even positive he was in the water. And he goes, that's all that's left of him, a stupid rose. And I was like, okay, I think I know what happened, but I don't know why it happened.
So I don't know that there's even that much more animation in the Japanese, but like they run at each other to fight, and then they like grab onto each other, and then Jadeite clearly has the larger like impetus or whatever you would call that, and like pushes them into like, so they get knocked off of the tower into the ocean. And then we don't see anything for a little while because they're all like, what? And then the rose floats to the top, and then Jadeite comes out of the water and like, he's like floating above the water.
So yeah, it was weird. And I guess we're supposed to think that Tuxedo Mask has been killed and all that's left of him is a rose. And I was like, I'm pretty sure there's more that's left of him down there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I will, spoilers, he is going to turn up again later.
Right.
Like just out of the water again.
He's like kind of important.
Fine. And so I have two theories about what happened. One is, because they're both linked to hit Tuxedo Mask liking high places. So my theory was that the reason he likes high places is that low places are his kryptonite. And so if you push him down into the water, he's very weak because he's too low. And that's why he got defeated when he got knocked into the water. My brother's theory was that he just does not exist in low places. So when you pushed him to the water, he vanished out of existence and then reappeared in a high place. And then it was like, he's gone. I guess he's dead.
Or option 3 is his cloak, it gets so heavy in the water that he's just being pulled down. And so the whole time he's trying to get out.
But then later, been swimming the whole time.
Yeah, like later when we see him completely dry.
He's completely dry. That was also what I noticed. I was like, he took the time to go change his clothes.
Or dry himself off.
That's probably where he goes this whole episode. That's why he's not there for the fight. He's like,
he's at the laundromat.
Yeah.
He's like,
this suit is
dry.
gonna stain it's dry clean only. We got to deal with this right now.
Question.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say this quote. So I don't think that Jadeite in the Japanese, he may or may not have said something about the rose is all that's left of him. But does he say anything like this? Go on and cry. Do you need a man to do everything for you?
I don't think so. And I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah, and it's the next several quotes from the Sailor Scouts are like, mwah.
And you know what? That's a better lead-in because, like, at some point the Sailor Scouts just start going, we can defeat you. And they have, like, some very weird lines. And it was also really strange because Mars, like, they were literally just sad about Tuxedo Mask. And then Mars smiles and goes, we can defeat you. And I was like, did you guys stop caring about Tuxedo Mask? What's happening here? But if they're responding to something he said, it makes a lot more sense.
So I want to hear first what they said in the dub during
I only wrote down what Mars said. It was just very weird is all I remember. So I'd have to listen to it again.
So it really pisses them off that he says that. And this was like in the 90s too. So I wrote down every quote that they said. So Sailor Mars goes, only old fashioned no, wait. He says something else. He goes, go on and cry. Do you need a man to do everything for you? Women are such shallow, useless creatures. And then Sailor Mars goes, only old-fashioned idiots like you still believe in nonsense like that. Sailor Mercury goes, right, denigrating women is a relic of the feudal age. And then Sailor Moon goes, no more discrimination.
Oh my gosh, why'd they cut that?
It's too feminist for 1990s America, I guess. And then they all together go, all right, let's show that jerk what girls are made of. And then we're capable of much more than crying.
They just said some stuff about like, no, we can totally beat you. Yeah, we're tough. Blah, blah, blah. It was weird.
That's so lame.
So Jadeite repossesses the plane with his magic powers. And what did I say? Oh, and Luna's like, guys, remember, as they're all running around, the jet is not the bad guy. Jadeite's the one we got to defeat. And they're like, oh my God, you're super right. And Mars, I think, is like, Mercury, you should divert him and we'll do something. And Mercury's like, okay. Or I can't remember what she says. But so Mercury used her bubble attack to create a fog. So it was useful. And Jadeite seems very confused by this, even though it's happened literally every time he's ever faced them. And I just wrote down so many planes because there was just so many planes in this episode. And so in the fog, as he's going, what, where? Because I guess he can't find the sickest planes on them. Mars like walks slowly up behind him, which was like a hilarious image. Like she's not even like sneaking. She's just like walking up behind him. And she uses her scroll attack and sticks it on his back like a kick me sign. So
cool.
And then the jets start chasing him.
Yeah.
So somehow she redirected them, but he's really confused. He's like running around. He's like, and he goes, tell me how you did this. And they go, and Mars goes, all your thoughts are wicked. And Sailor Moon goes, you have been working only for evil. And I was like, that is not an explanation. Please tell me, because I don't understand what's happening.
So I think because he was like, wait, what's that? Well, so one thing that it sounds like they cut was, Sailor Mars is saying, like, when they're coming up with a plan together, Sailor Mars is like, Mercury, you do like the thing, and then Sailor Moon, you be the bait or something.
Yeah, because she's the one she's running and she's like screaming and running and going, hurry up, guys. It was really cute. That makes sense.
And then, so when she puts the thing on his back and he's asking like, what is happening? Why are they chasing me? I think it's something to do with like, it's using his bad thoughts against him. Or because he's doing it with malice.
It was like they were drawn towards, but it really was not made clear, or at least the exchange of dialogue didn't make sense to me.
That's because they translated it wrong, probably.
Because him going, tell me why you did this. Tell me what's happening. And they're like, oh, your thoughts are evil. And I was like, suddenly it's a morality play. So,
but not when it's about feminism.
So he's running away from the planes, and Sailor Moon uses her tiara attack on him, and he, I think, dodges. It wasn't quite clear.
Yeah.
And then the plane gets him, and he screams in the most horrifying scream possible. I was like, and I just wrote down, wow. Because it seemed very violent. He wasn't shown, but his scream was very intense.
Wow.
I was like, he is dying. He is dead. I think it just says screaming, wow. And then we cut to him appearing underground, so he did not die, right. Even though it really sounded like he did.
But he does look hurt.
He doesn't look that hurt, at least. He has some, like, smudges, artistic smudges on his face.
And he's kind of, like, hunched.
Because at this point, I still thought maybe, like, he actually did die and that they, like, edited it for the dub, so he didn't. I honestly briefly thought that they might have just, like, edited in a scene of him not being dead, like, with smudges on his face, because it was so weird looking. I was like, I think he died up there.
He still looked cute.
He did. He looked very distressed, though. And so he appears underground, and he's like, I have news for you, Queen Beryl. I know their identities, but she won't listen to him.
She does not care. Yeah.
She does not care, but, like, find out their identities and then get rid of him.
Thank you. I wrote down Queen Beryl is a bad leader.
Yeah. She's like, I don't want to hear your excuses. And then she's like, sleep forever. And then he screams some more. So there's a lot of horrified screaming in this episode. Wow. And then he gets frozen in what's either ice or thematically more appropriate would be a crystal. It was unclear.
Yeah. I think it's a crystal.
Yeah. I looked it up online and it said ice, but I don't think the wiki really knew what it was talking about either.
Yeah.
And so that's him sleeping forever. And then what I did love is in the background, they have a tiny voice go, he's gone. And I was like, he's not gone.
Oh.
He's right there.
I don't think that was in. That's so sad.
Oh. And I was like, I don't think he's gone. He's right there. You can still see him. And she's like, your new commander will be Nephrite. And that guy shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm way better than that loser. Basically. That's not what he said, but something
and
like
all we
that.
see are like his little glowing eyes in the background.
And like the shade, he's got like that curly brown hair.
Yeah.
So I only remember Nephrite because I think he has like sort of a flirty episode with Sailor Jupiter at some point.
Okay.
So I was like, Nephrite's the one that Sailor Jupiter likes. That's all I know.
Good to know. So he must still be around then when we meet Sailor Jupiter.
So each of the bad guys, because they're the Tuxedo Mask's Sailor Senshi, basically, has a matched up, maybe not actually dating, but a matched up Sailor Senshi.
Yeah.
If you had to guess who Jadeite's was,
I think Mercury. Think it was?
It's not. It's Mars.
What?
Right? I don't know who Mercury's is, but it's Mars.
Oh, maybe it's Malachite?
And I mean, to be fair, he does have that thing where he's like working at the place where she works, and like that's how she's introduced. So they did have a little more of a dynamic.
I'll bet there's some good fan fiction about him as janitor over there.
There we go.
Send in your fan fiction about him working.
I would have. There we go. Yes. Send in your Jadeite fix. He comes back. He's Andrew. He's reliving his life. Oh my god! Now I want to write this fic. Actually,
do it.
He's like having that like he got kicked back in time, and he's living as Andrew, and he's like recovering memory. Okay.
Oh, that'd be so cute. And like we just have a whole show about Andrew working at the game center.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. So then we cut back to everyone sadly staring at what I wrote in my notes is tuxedo water, which is really a statement. But I guess it's the water he drowned in, which you could maybe sell online as tuxedo water. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say eau de parfum, tuxedo water for the distinguished magician.
And so they're all like, "Oh, that's sad." I don't know if the rose was still there, if it was just the water. But Luna goes, "You must learn to fight without him." And Sailor Moon's like, "Never." And it's very cute. And then we hear his voice go, "I'm glad you were worried about him," or me. I can't remember what he said. Yeah. Probably me. And they turn around and he's there, but he's very dry, so I don't know what he's been up to.
Well, as we said, in the laundromat, quickly trying to dry his outfit.
Yeah. And he's, again, up high. Not, like, super high, but the camera angles suggest he's not, like, quite at the same level as them. And I will say, again, he's, like, so smiley and so talkative. I'm not even sure he normally smiles, but he's just, like... No. And so they start asking him all these questions, and he doesn't answer any of them, and yet he does still, like, stop and talk a lot more than he ever would. So, like, he's so much more talkative. He still doesn't communicate anything.
Right.
But he's going out of his way to be friendly, and I think he must feel bad for making them think he's dead and for being mean to Serena. I don't know. And so he says
Sailor
something
Mercury,
like... Oh, go ahead.
Does Sailor Mercury ask him, why do you keep helping us?
I think someone did say that.
Okay.
Someone said, like, how do you always show up at the right time? Which I was like,
probably
good
a better question.
Someone else says something like, who are you? I don't know. There was like a lot of very valid questions asked.
Yeah.
And then
the
he just
answer
says
is
something
0.
like, I didn't write down what he said, but I feel like he said something like, you guys have to learn to work or keep on working together or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that your last episode? Except for the sailor says.
We do have to talk about the freeze frame where, so he's like, you all have to work together, so long. And then he like jumps into the sky and is framed by the moon and is just floating.
That's
but
right.
He's like,
that was great.
Like
I forgot the so long. It's just really weird. His whole vibe was like, did you get drugged in that water? Because, like, you're acting weird, buddy.
Maybe that's what happens is when he's in low places, he gets drunk.
That could be it.
That's why he doesn't
considering this dude just, like, had his, like, ancient friend from his past get murdered in front of him by a plane, like, he's pretty cheerful. Good thing he doesn't
remember.
I know. Good thing he doesn't have any memories. Oh my gosh.
Because he's really going to regret that once he does remember.
I do have to say, before we get to the sailor says, that there is one more tragic loss this episode.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, again, I was looking up on the wiki some stuff about the dub, and I found out that this is the last episode that we have the Star Wars style title crawl where they're like a long time ago from a galaxy far away across the sky. It's gone.
R.I.P.
And that's probably why I don't remember it at all.
Yeah.
But I'm really sad about it. And as I was discussing how sad I was about it, I realized that, you know, it was like text crawling across the sky. And you know who has powers to make things manifest in the sky? It's Jadeite.
Jadeite.
He was doing the title crawl.
He's the one who spoiled it for us.
This whole time, it was Jadeite. Once again, we now know he likes things that go vroom vroom. He likes quiet janitorial jobs, and he likes Star Wars.
Well, technically, don't you think those words are vroom vrooming across the screen?
You're right. Yeah. So I think that he just wants to, like, you know, maybe like work a little movie theater or something.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so perfect for him.
That's why he's going to go run a game store.
I think it's going to be something about Sailor says, don't get involved in crimes because that's what the police are for. So, like, stay away from crime scenes.
I like that. Trust the police. I would describe this Sailor says as scattered and kind of just free-form, like, stream of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, I actually had to like go, this is actually why I looked up the wiki article, because I was like, I wanted to write it down and there was so much. I was like, okay, hang on, I'm just going to go screen cap this. So we say, Sailor says, she goes, a lot of people say life is tough, but that doesn't mean you let yourself get walked on. And I was like, hang on, does that connect? Kind of. And then Ami says, exercise your body and challenge your mind to be the best you can. Hiya! And then Ray says, know what you want and go for it. And then Serena says, you're right. Plan to be your personal best. I think I'll go for a milkshake. And then Luna says, can't say she doesn't know what she wants. So The moral was...
Get a milkshake?
People say life is tough, but really... yeah, I think it's get a milkshake. Okay, I like that. I was just like, that was a lot. And it was very like just... Someone who had to write this at the last minute just put like everything, like they brainstormed like maybe like a couple different possibilities for what it could be, and then they just used all of them.
Or they just had the voice actors kind of like separate in their separate sessions come up with one, and then they just cut it together.
Yeah, they were like, you know what? Let's just put all of them in. Oops, I hit my microphone. So that was weird.
Yeah.
And interesting. I wasn't the theme I thought the episode was going for, but to be fair, I really feel like the episode was kind of, I mean, I guess you could say the episode was about it's okay to be not serious, but also sometimes you have to murder a dude with a plane.
Right. Is that your Sailor Says?
I think that's my Sailor Says, yeah.
My Sailor Says is, don't get onto a magic train.
Yeah. Don't take rides from strangers or from villains that are not strangers.
Right.
Good
Especially
plan.
if you know they're a villain.
Well, again, it's like, I think, that's worse than a stranger at that point. So, yeah, this episode was great.
I loved it.
I really enjoyed it, except for the part where Jadeite died screaming horribly.
Of course. R.I.P.
I did like the part where he was frozen in a crystal because I wasn't expecting it, and it made me think that he might come back.
Yeah, like I really thought that they all died, but I guess they all just get frozen. And so I'm guessing that maybe in a later season, maybe they come back.
I wonder if it's even just because, like, thematically, we don't know this, but there are supposed to be, like, the reborn souls of Tuxedo Mask's friends, so they,
Can't kill them.
He's supposed to get them. I assume he gets them back at some point. I don't know
Right.
that he does, but it would be kind of sad if he didn't. Like, sorry, I saved all my friends and not yours when we were reborn and found each other again.
Yeah.
I don't know why his friends turned evil, but
Right.
he does turn evil at some point too, so I guess that's fair.
Do we ever find out, do you think, why they turn evil?
I assume there's so much lore. Like, I feel like we must. I will say that, again, I didn't look this up, but someone was telling me that, that in the anime, my cat wants out. In the anime, they are more hostile to each other than they are in the manga. Like, in the manga, they aren't, like, fighting. And in this one, they're always infighting. And in the in the anime, one of them kills one of the other ones.
Which I did try to upload the first episode, and it's, like, so big that I think I have to re-export it because it was like several gigabytes, and I left it on all last weekend trying to upload it to YouTube, and it never finished. It stopped at like 60%.
Wow. YouTube is like, no.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and figure that out.
And for folks listening at home, this gives you an idea of how far ahead we're working.
I know. I do feel pretty bad because I'm like, man, it's going to be a while before we can get to like more timely things. So I was thinking of just releasing like maybe 2 at a time for like this week and next week, but I don't know.
Everybody likes a good binge listen, so.
No, that's true. Okay, so the next part is the activity I have planned.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
So I did not prepare for it. So it'll be improv, but I would like us each to give an obituary speech at Jadeite's funeral.
Oh boy.
I can go first.
Yes, you can go first. I'll just take crib notes and copy yours when you're not looking.
And I don't remember how funerals start, so I think this might be the beginning of a wedding where I say, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to celebrate the life and mourn the death of our favorite henchman, Jadeite. His love of vrooming machinery precedes his death via plane." That's
how he would have wanted to go.
Yes. He was not a nice man, but he was a kind one. In that he held back all of his powers and preferred instead to be a very gentle janitor.
That's my favorite type of janitor.
Yeah, the gentle ones. Gently picking up trash and, offering words of wisdom under his breath. Jadeite had a sultry man voice that we all know and love. And we will miss that voice terribly on our radios at midnight. So rest in peace in your crystal slumber, Jadeite.
Eternal forever.
And I guess that's it.
Yeah, I am so honored to speak at this funeral and so sad to have to be here. I think that what a lot of us forget is that Jadeite was not only a villain, but an empowerer of women, and really a firm believer in female-led small independent businesses. And so the number of opportunities he gave and the way that he nurtured people, including our favorite 3 sailor scouts, until they became confident enough to defeat him and murder him with a plane, I think really speaks to his character. And I think that we often saw that he really felt, even when he felt a little uncomfortable around women that were flirting with him, he did seem, to be interested in helping them, live out their dreams as cruise ship directors and singers and radio show hosts and computer teachers. And I think that's did all of those involve technology? Did he have any women that didn't do technology? He was also,
I guess, the bus.
A lover. I mean, that's the vroom vroom. He was a lover of all sorts of electronics and mechanics. And I think that's a beautiful thing in a magician. Mm-hmm. So he only used his magic for evil, but he only used his technology for good. I'm not sure that's accurate.
For evil, also.
for evil. And we loved him for it. And we will miss him. Sweet dreams, slumbering prince. I hope that someday you hatch from your crystal. And we will see you again.
R.I.P. Jadeite.
And so title crawl.
The last title crawl of the dub.
So sad.
Man, I'm gonna be sad to see him and his earring go.
He had an earring?
Yeah. Maybe 2, but definitely 1.
I missed the earring. I'm very sad about it. I'll have to rewatch.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to do a little RIP to the earring.
Aww.
Which is also eternally slumbering. It's nice that he got to keep his clothes.
Yeah, that's true. Man, when he wakes up, he's gonna be so smelly. Because he did not change. Like,
you're right. He came straight out of. He's still gonna have all the scuffs on his face from the airplane fight. That's gonna be a weird day.
Why didn't he join Tuxedo Mask at the laundromat?
Because he was busy getting run over by an airplane. Why is this happening?
Why?
Because you only think of evil.
I just love this idea of like, he's been trying to kill them at every turn, and then all of a sudden, for once, it's turned back on him, and he's like, why are you doing this to me?
It's like, it was amazing. He's like, what's happening? And then just suddenly everybody in the episode is lecturing him about, like, you could be doing things other than evil. Right. And he's like, I don't understand.
What do you mean? What is not evil?
And honestly, I think that's unfair to him. I feel like he's been doing work that wasn't for evil. Like, when he was sweeping out the temple, like, he didn't have to do that to accomplish his plan of busing young girls into the moon.
Right. Well, and then think about the amusement park. Like, think about how successful he made that park, because over 50 people went missing, and they were still showing up in droves. Exactly.
He is a talented businessman. It's a shame he only used his entrepreneurship for evil.
That's the real tragedy here, is the missed startup opportunity.
I mean, exactly.
I will say he is definitely a better people manager than Beryl is, because Beryl wouldn't even listen to him.
I know.
Beryl, and that's bad leadership.
What do you think Nephrite's thing is going to be?
Oh, I don't really remember him besides his hair.
Curly brown hair.
I remember him being like pretty.
Is his thing just more sex appeal, but like using it for actual evil this time? Like, Jadeite tried, evil. But he was clearly very uncomfortable with like actual female attention.
Yeah, I wonder if I'll bet he'll use female attention as part of his evil plans, especially if he has a flirtation with Jupiter later whenever she comes into the picture. I'll bet that starts as him trying to
like seduce her,
like manipulate. Yeah.
Could be. So we'll have to see if he does more like playing with people's emotions instead of like starting small businesses.
Just imagine, like, so much work goes into every single new small business that Jadeite set up. Man,
it's cool.
If he used his powers for good.
Kind of seem like they continued to exist after he left. Do you remember when he like launched a whole talent show in the guise of this like celebrity who woke up in a bathtub like 3 days later and like still had that like outcome of that talent show like on her like track record? Like, that's gonna build her career, you know?
I do feel bad about the radio show though. I feel like that was one of the more successful endeavors. Yeah. And I feel like that also speaks to maybe a secret love of his, because that's the first time that he gets involved. So like maybe he likes it.
You really saw like that lady like sparked, like she inspired something in him. Yeah. Because after that, he was doing plans that involved machines. He was like starting businesses. He was super involved. He was like doing the sexy voice. He was like, this lady had good ideas. And I feel bad that she died. Yeah. And a bunch of other ladies died. And
lots of femicide.
Were they all made of clay? Because I think we do have to again consider the fact that Sailor Moon murders a lot of people.
I don't think they were made of clay because the clay golems can't really talk. They were just like zombies. So I think that they're actual creatures.
They were people, and you murdered Jadeite's business associates / friends.
Although, to be fair, none of his businesses had a very strong model because they kept giving away stuff for really cheap.
Yeah, I think it was sort of a, like, you pay with your energy model. Yeah. It's been very unclear where all that energy is going. Like, they keep saying they have, like, almost enough, and then it just keeps happening.
They keep moving the goalposts.
And then Beryl will be like, you're not doing good enough, you're doing great. Queen Beryl is a goalpost shifter for sure.
She absolutely. I mean, classic Nega Corporation. Classic.
I mean, we didn't even know early on. It was like not even clear. Like they suddenly mentioned another queen or ruler. Like it's
the great ruler.
The motivations of her evil enterprise are so confused that it's no wonder Jadeite just didn't have the direction he needed to succeed.
Exactly.
Like she was like, gather energy, and then she's like, you haven't killed the Sailor Scouts. And I'm like, you never told him to kill the Sailor Scouts.
Stop. It's called scope creep. Okay? Scope creep. We don't want that.
If you wanted the Sailor Scouts killed,
you can't have all of them.
Yeah.
Do you think that if they were to like redo Sailor Moon now, like set it rather than in the 90s, set it in 2020s, do you think that Jadeite would have set up some sort of a monthly energy subscription model?
Ooh, like, yeah, they mail you a box and you put on your rose of the month and it sucks like your month of energy. Or then you wake up the next month and put another rose on.
Or like he creates Jedflix. It's like Netflix, but it's a streaming platform.
No, you know what he needs to do is those multi-level marketing scheme.
Yes.
It's basically, he's already running it. He just needs to add a couple more levels because it's got Beryl and then him and then the lady he employs. But if she then had 10 humans start selling their clocks and then those 10 humans have to sell the next level of clocks.
Right. And they have to recruit mostly.
It could be like, yoga pants.
Yes. What do we call it? Lula Negaro?
Negaroo.
Negaroo. Okay, now we have to, at some point, if we ever get merch, we have to have Negaroo leggings.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
Oh, now I want some. It can't be that hard to get leggings made, right?
I feel like they would, well, they probably would not energize me for my day. But maybe they could be the type that make you like super go get them, like when they gave people clocks.
Well, I think it sucks your energy. The leggings do. For sure. That's how you pay it. Yeah.
Yes. And they would say something like, humans have so much energy when it comes to healthy yoga workouts. I And we can harvest that energy.
Yeah. People are really into looking like they're going to do yoga.
There we go.
We got to capitalize on this athleisure movement. All right. So we've been recording for an hour. So I guess we got to
wrap it up. So next week, our episodes, you are going to be watching the dub. I am going to be watching the sub. And our episode title is Match Point for Sailor Moon, or A New Enemy Appears, Nephrite's Evil Crest. Oh my gosh, I've just realized what his thing is going to be.
What?
It's going to be sports.
Oh my God.
Because Jupiter's into sports too. Yeah, Match Point tennis. I wonder if many of them are going to be sports themed.
Ooh, and then that makes sense for bringing Jupiter along, then for bringing her into
I mean,
it.
she's still got, man,
like 12 more
10
episodes. 10
more episodes at least. 12 more. Yeah, she's like, I think episode 25. Let me look.
And then how soon after that is Venus arriving?
So she shows up in episode 25. Let's see if I can find Venus in here. Grandpa's Follies is really a funny name.
I hope that's Ray's grandpa.
Tuxedo Melvin. Okay, Sailor V makes the scene. Sailor V shows up in episode 33.
Okay.
And then we'll have everybody.
Yay.
So it's a while. We're going to spend a while with Nephrite, I guess.
Yeah, that is a long time for one henchman. Sounds like he's mildly more successful than Jadeite.
Yeah, must be the sports theme.
But we'll never forget our first love. Well, you know what? I don't care. We're gonna weave sports into everything now.
I think we should just pretend it's somehow sports themed.
Yeah. No matter how far fetched, I'm gonna try to match it to sports.
He's a jock. What can I say?
And he's got long flowing locks,
like jocks do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope, and other folk, I hope
gentle
that...
bays.
There we go. Did you say gentle bays?
Bays. Ooh, gentle bays, though, sound nice.
Ladies and gentle bay. I'm wishing you all a lovely week, and we'll see you next week for more Sailor Moon therapy.
Yay. Talk to you then.